it's not deer season, so unless you have a crop damage permit, you're not supposed to be shooting deer anyway. I don't know why you would shoot a deer, let alone an albino deer, and just leave it by the side of a road.
Yeah.
But these, if you're in the woods or if you see one of these, they're so rare that it's really cool to be able to see. And most hunters, even if they're legal to shoot, won't shoot an albino deer because of they look like ghosts. Well, they're rare, but they also they're supposed to have this There was one I would see every summer between Crooked Lake and Burnt Lake. There's a Crooked River that connects them, and there was one that would every once in a while come to the shore. And obviously, when I had the kids in there, especially when they were younger, we would stop and we would watch this deer just eat, and they're so cool. They really are cool, and I don't know.
It's
nobody that I've
special
ever.
powers.
Oh, special powers, yeah.
Maybe what they should do is bring the albino deer to the lottery.
To the lottery tonight. That would be another
That
step.
would help the tax. Yeah, special powers. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they find whoever did this, for sure. All right, so it's been a while since hot food samples have been handed out at Costco, but boys, that is slowly changing this month.
Yes.
So food samples begin rolling out in phases, and along with the samples, the food court and indoor seating is also going to be reopened yet again. So they say this week, 170 Costco locations will be bringing back full sampling, and then the rest of the locations will follow suit by the end of June. So we'll see those things. They are going to be a little different than how they've been in the past. The samples will still be prepared behind that little plexiglass screen, and they're only going to hand out one sample at a time. So hopefully that will kind of also stop the madness. I mean, sometimes it's actually hard to walk around in Costco with those huge carts.
Starting route to Euclid Street. At the next light, turn left.
By the way, they hand them out every time. Kind of behind, nice little grab sample that it's so frustrating. We just want to get through it. It's like, oh my gosh, people, can you pick a side here and at least leave like an aisle way in the middle just so you can walk through. Well, that's what it's suggested. Right. Now they will be opening the seating area as well. They're going to space the tables out a little further than before, and they only want 4 people to sit at a table at once. So that we're still kind of following some, COVID protocol to keep it all as safe as possible. So that's exciting news. Obviously, they still do have samples right now, but they're going to be packaged. Samples. Just not as good. All right, so a 28-year-old woman in Vancouver, she got busted for drunk driving super early on Saturday morning. Apparently she got stopped at a DUI checkpoint and she failed a breathalyzer test. So the cops gave her a ticket, right, which is what they should do. But then they told her to call somebody to pick her up. So she called her twin sister. Now, you know what? Sister is always there for me, right? So yeah, she was. The twin sister showed up. However, her sister was even more drunk than she was. And the sister got a DUI as well. Now there's no word on who they called from there to pick them up. But man, didn't work out for either of them.
Let's go with that. I used to drunk too.
Yeah, it's your mom.
That's gonna learn from someone.
Golly.
All right, thank you very much, Heather. Our telephone number is 248-539-9797. The theme for the NBA playoffs may be who's ever the healthiest team is going to win this thing. We'll explain coming up next. 97.1 The Ticket.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here with the Bet Rivers favorite team here, and that is New York to send the series back to Atlanta for Game 6. Not saying that New York can win that one in Atlanta on the road after getting dominated in Atlanta on the road in Games 3 and 4, but New York to bounce back and win game number 5 is a short haul price. Looks like the bet. That's it for this Bet River Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by Bet River Sportsbook, Detroit's hometown sportsbook. Check out the latest lines today at BetRivers.com. I'm Nick Costos. Keep it locked here for more throughout the day. Must be 21, playable in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-270-7117.
I love overpriced stuff. That's why I'm a little
In 1.3 miles,
What could be
turn
better?
left onto
Wow
West
is
Long Lake
better.
Road.
Get Internet 100 for just $19.99 a month at Huawei.com. Limited to new customers with auto pay and paperless billing. Equipment taxes and fees extra. Offers subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
Sheila, we need to set up Johnson's quality review. Janowski Investments keeps portfolios profitable, but a double client base calls for double the advisors.
Hello. Hi, Janet. I'm so sorry. Pull up your portfolio right now. Give me a sec.
Indeed can help them hire the people they need. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
With the Capital One Saver Card, you earn unlimited 4% cash back on dining out or in, 4% back on entertainment, or on popular streaming. And now, 3% back at grocery stores so you can make the cake that makes your day. Happy birthday to you. So earn unlimited cash back for going out or staying in with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. It's like I blinked and suddenly all my business shifted to e-commerce.
Now my business hours are whenever my customers need me.
At the next
My
light,
customers want
turn
everything
left.
now and faster than ever. It's a whole different world. Your business is changing. The United States Postal Service is changing with it. We're bringing you fast, reliable shipping nationwide, and we're bringing it right where your customers need it. Let's discover new routes. Visit USPS.com/new routes. The United States Postal Service. Priority you.
Sheila, we need to set up Johnson's quality review.
Janowski Investments keeps portfolios profitable, but a double client base calls for double the
At the light,
advisors.
turn left onto
Hi,
West Long
Janet.
Lake
I'm
Road.
so sorry. Pull up your portfolio right now. Give me a sec.
Indeed can help them hire the people they need. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions
3/4 of a
apply.
mile, turn left onto Long Pine Road.
By Whiteman Borough National Benefit Plan. For affordable life insurance, log on to nbthealth.com.
At home, in the car, or at work. Detroit's sports station. Fly ball to the gap in right center field, and that's going to get between the outfielders Taylor and Garcia to the wall.
Go past this
Grossman
light,
behind
then at the
Castro
next
scores.
one,
Heading
turn
to the
left.
plate, Candelario, he scores easily ahead of the throw. That's a 3-run double for Miguel Cabrera, and the Tigers take a 4-1 lead here in the second.
At the light, turn left onto
It's
Long
not
Pine
working. I
Road.
thought we had it fixed.
Yeah, well, I'll just put my finger. Put your finger. No, we thought we had it fixed in the break. I have to go. Oh, man. There we go. Okay, now it's
See
okay.
if it sticks.
Then we'll see if it sticks. Yes,
We're going to have to call the Leatherman here.
Yeah, exactly.
In
Anyway,
2.8 miles, turn left onto Gordon Road.
97. Tigers with some power last night, and they needed it because Milwaukee had 5 home runs. Tigers had just 4. They win 10-7. Nice to see Miggy do something.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit there and say, oh wow, Miggy's back. And a bases clearing double, and didn't feel hit, and then he had to leave the game with some groin tenderness as a precaution. And we always know how painful that can be. At least they won the game.
Yeah, I think it's, I think this season for Miggy is going to mirror what the Tigers season is. It's fits and starts.
Yeah. Hey, they're 1-0 in June.
Yes, they are. Hey, maybe June. Hey, April was disastrous.
In May they had a winning
was
run.
better.
season. So they're going to be a tough out. But the series they have with Milwaukee is going to be very interesting. Giannis is playing great, especially defensively. So things will be okay. I think that should be a very good series. Also last night, Denver over Portland, 147-104, double overtime. Damian Lillard, 55 points in a losing effort. He hit some ridiculous threes to force the second overtime and at the end of regulation, and they kept falling behind. They came out. The game was lost in the first quarter, if you really want to be technical about it. They were getting blown out, and they came back, and he's just, I mean, I know he loves it there. He went to Weber State, West, that area. God, can you imagine if you played in a bigger market, a team that was really, really good? I mean, they're good, but they don't, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
CJ McCollum is his backcourt partner. He's a terrific player. He's a clutch player, too.
And that was one of those games where you're not, locally here, we're probably not watching very much, but you're on social media, and all of a sudden you see it light up. You're like, hey, wait a second here. I need to go check this out. And he was on fire. 12 of 17 from threes, 9 of 10 at the line. Just, it seemed like he couldn't miss.
I'm part of a small group test between two other guys, and I wake up this morning, I didn't know who won, and they were just this text about just ripping Portland's coach, Terry Stotts. So that's unbelievable. I mean, first they start off, this day performance as good as I've seen in decades. I've never seen anything like it. My mouth is dropping. They just can't cover anybody. Stop doubling Jokic. 3 beats 2. Stotts is the worst. Horrible. I have no clue what they're doing. I'm sitting there, I didn't watch the game. Stotts is the best crunch guy in the league, and he manages to nullify him with awful coaching and surround him with guys who make the same mistakes 4 years running. Carmelo doubling Jokic or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Feels like you watched the game.
But yeah, I know, exactly. Thank you, guys. But Lillard he's just incredible. He's just a great player, and everybody seems to think that I hear, I've never met him, but he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Great for the community. He's just awesome. Now, we talk about attrition. The Lakers lose to Phoenix. Not only lose, the score at the half was 66-36. The Lakers scored 10 points in the second quarter.
Yes.
Now, Anthony Davis didn't play, and he's, you can argue who's more important, him or LeBron. He's more of a, in a weird way, a unicorn, because he can do it inside and outside.
Right.
And he's the difference. LeBron, obviously, is probably still a better, maybe all-around player. I don't know. That you can argue. But the fact is, they didn't have him. They lost. They got blown out. Earlier in the series, Chris Paul gets hurt, is very ineffective because of the injury, and they lose those games. Now Chris Paul gets hurt again in the third quarter. Now this is early enough where I'm not going to say you should have pulled them when they're up 30 points in the third quarter with a guy who's kind of injured. What's he need to be in the game for? It was early enough where I'm not going to go there. But he said after the game he thinks he'll be okay. I don't know, because if he can't play, and then after sitting there going, wait a second, is he 50-50? We have a 3-2 lead. He's probably going to play. Do we rest Paul anyway and take the loss now? Not risk further injury for Game 7? That's a big question, right?
It is a big question, and because you don't want to get into the game and all of a sudden AD goes down, and you have an opportunity to seal it in 6 with Chris Paul there. So I think if he's well enough to go, he's got to be in the lineup, because I don't think the Suns don't have a chance without him.
No, they don't. I mean, Booker played really well, 31 points. And you have a kid from Murray State who played with the Ja Morant. It was Kevin Payne, I believe is his name.
Yes.
I mean, he played really well. So they're getting contributions from those guys. The other M. Bridges in that draft choice, not Miles McHale. Bridges from Villanova's been starting to play really well. So that'd be a great story.
In 1 mile, turn left onto West 14 Mile Road.
We win that series.
See that.
Well, I'm in there going to the NBA. Anybody but the Lakers or the Nets.
Yes. Well,
And I'm watching today, obviously, because I'm Philly. I want the Sixers to win, which leads us to something else with my attrition thing. Joel Embiid got shaken up in the game the other night, left the court. They lost the game because he didn't play, and of course Ben Simmons can't make foul shots. But he's questionable for tonight's game.
At the next light, turn left. road.
interesting series, but I would still favor the Atlanta or New York. It's going to be Atlanta, but I would favor them over the Sixers without Joel Embiid.
Right, they don't have a difference maker without him.
Right, and it just that's we've seen it in hockey all the time. Guys get beaten up upper body. We don't know what the injuries are. When you get to this type of a playoff run, usually in hockey more than basketball, but if guys are getting hurt, and it seems like they are getting hurt a little bit more in these playoffs, I don't know, is it because the season was,
Crammed in there.
compacted more? You look at the Lakers. I mean, even LeBron's playing well. He looks like he's, he missed games a lot during the regular season. Not for load management because he was actually hurt.
Yeah.
He looks like he's a little worn down a little bit. Maybe they made a mistake in compacting the season.
At the stop
and
sign,
rushing. I don't know
turn
what else
right onto
they've
Inkster
done.
Road.
Well, because it comes down to, you and I both know, and everybody listening knows, it comes down to money. They got to play those games so that they can pay those enormous salaries. So is this championship going to be determined on attrition? We don't know, and it very well could be. And you mentioned the Nets with the big three, and the fact that, what was
In
it, 7 games?
1.4
that they played
miles,
together?
turn right onto Northwestern Highway.
And who knows if, which one of the three of them goes down. At least there's three of them during the playoffs, and they could maybe sustain more than others. But this is the time of year where we saw it with Isaiah, right? He was hurt. He, was able to get through it.
Yeah.
And that's what we identify with in terms of a championship here in Detroit.
Playoff basketball, say what you want about Jordan, but he played through some injuries.
Right, you're going to have guys that are limping around that in the regular season they wouldn't play, but they're going to or shouldn't play, and we see that.
Yeah.
With Chris Paul, he's a great example. He's going to play if he can play because he knows his team has no chance without him. Joel Embiid, if he can play, he's going to play because his team has no chance without him.
Right. The problem is with basketball, as opposed to like your sport, and maybe even your position, maybe it's being ignorant here, you can probably get away with playing hurt more in certain positions than you can in basketball, because if you're in pain shooting the ball, you're useless.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to... I somewhat disagree, because if you've got a bad hand or a bad wrist, and you can numb it up, but sometimes it's hard to punch. If shooting is one thing, punching is another. I mean, it just asks the Kansas City Chiefs of what it means to have guys that are out because of injury. I mean, it's just, but that's what a full season does for you. It makes you stay healthy. It makes you take care of yourself off the court, off the field. And there are just things that happen that are out of your control. That's why championships are special, because you have to have so many things go your way. You have to have the ball bounce your way a couple of times. You have to be injury-free, or at least as injury-free as less than anybody else, to be able to win a championship.
And even Milwaukee, the Michigan killer, right, Dante DiVincenzo, he's hurt. He's done for the playoffs.
Yeah.
He got a foot injury, and he's a pretty good defender, good outside shooter. So it's a shame that you don't always get to see
At the light,
best
turn right
players
onto
play
Northwestern
because
Highway.
of injuries during these playoff runs. That happens in every sport, but it just seems this week, it's just really bad.
If the Nets, though, and it looks like the path, at least for now, is clearing for them to a degree, I think the Milwaukee series could be really good.
Yes.
But if they get there, doesn't this even make the load management more? Teams are going to do it more in the future.
Possibly.
Just get to the playoffs.
If they get there, it's going to be a case for load management.
Yeah, I know.
It sucks. I hate it, but can't deny it.
I know.
How about what you're saying, Stoney, about the playoffs being affected? How in the world could you see the Atlanta Hawks get into the conference final?
I know.
And if Embiid is hurt and it's significant, there's an opening.
Yeah, exactly. Trey Young. The way John Collins, the way they're playing, they could win. They could win 4 out of 7. I wouldn't count on it, but without Embiid, it definitely would be a series. All right, our telephone number 248-539-9797. We always talk about a lot of the great things that have happened in sports, but what is the worst thing that's happened in sports? And one general manager in the NBA, unnamed, of course, thinks he has the answer. 97 won the ticket.
Well, the Tigers won again last night. Maybe you've been riding them. That's 6 straight covers for them. They've been hot. And guess what? You can bet on more than the final score with One Game Parlay at BetMGM. One Game Parlay is an exciting feature designed to help you make selections within a single game from over 400 bet types, including team and player props. Log into your BetMGM account and create the parlay of your dreams
In
before the game
6.2
starts.
miles,
One
take
Game
exit
Parlay is the
14C
fast
onto
and easy way to make
M39
your
and
single game
Southfield
win,
Freeway.
total and prop picks. New to BetMGM? Sign up today and make your first bet risk-free up to $600 with bonus code TOMM600. You can make One Game Parlay bets on the Stanley Cup playoffs, baseball, and your favorite soccer leagues. Go ahead, take your favorite player to score, the home team to cover, and the over in goals. Log in today or download the BetMGM app to try One Game Parlay. This is a new customer offer, paid and free bets. Must be 21 years or older, Michigan only. Gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7117.
last shot, or and it works across all sports and all platforms. But man, I'll tell you what, I think there's just been an erosion of the way people treat each other. But that's my answer.
I agree, and thanks, Nathan. That's going to be mine too, and this goes across more than just sports.
Right,
I think we saw how divisive it can be in politics.
Yes.
And I don't want to go down that road at all. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not the players, right? They use social media, but they don't read it, and I don't believe that some do. But I also think there's a lot of players.
They have burner accounts, so people don't realize it's them.
Well,
and they get caught having a burner account.
Right, that's part of it, but I think the big thing and how divisive this has gotten is with fan bases.
Oh, yeah.
And we're starting to see it. I think I'm only speculating, but we've seen, the popcorn thrown on Westbrook. We've seen a water bottle thrown at Kyrie Irving. I think that is the manifestation of some of this unbelievable dialogue that's happening on social
At
media.
the light, turn right onto Diggs Highway.
248-539-9797. Gov, what do you think?
Stoney, I like the expansion thing. It's not my top one, but I do think there's over-saturation. There's just the talent spread too thin.
In half a mile, turn right onto Euclid Street.
Bothers me. I would love hockey to go down to 28 teams, and of course they're expanding to 32 right now. And I also think it's telling that the most popular league hasn't expanded since 2002.
Yes,
It's true.
And the NFL seems to know better, just like the NFL seems to know better that although they have created more games here and there, they still have the wheelhouse 1 and 4 o'clock kicks on Sunday when they could probably
Turn right onto
monetize
Euclid
it
Street,
more.
then
But I
arrive
think
at your destination.
it gets to be too much overkill. Mine, it's pretty obvious. I harp on it all the time. It's the shift. I think the shift is killing baseball, and I understand that these guys should be able to hit it the other way. I hear that argument, and I respect it, but I think it is killing baseball. I do. They're just getting better and better at it.
I agree.
It's crazy when you watch a game how they just hit into plays. Like the play last night where Miggy jumped and almost caught it.
Yeah.
And then Scope is playing in the hole